I think, therefore I am. Quick, who said that? Which philosopher in history said that? René Descartes, the father of modern day philosophy. So I've got this meeting once a week on my team at work, and we start with trivia before and after, and that was one of the trivia questions that I got this past week. It's really interesting because that statement to most people is literally exactly that. It's just a piece of trivia. We've all heard it, we probably don't know, most of us don't know who René Descartes is, let alone his contribution to history. But that statement itself, I think, therefore I am, I'd like to unpack that because, first off, it's a very interesting marker in history. He said that right at the start of the Enlightenment, which led to the scientific revolution, which led to this idea of human progress, right? And that's a very novel concept in history. It totally reoriented man and how he viewed himself. And you can put your finger on René Descartes when he said, I think, therefore I am. Because very interestingly, he wasn't the first one to say that. Because before him, there was a different orientation, a different way of thinking. And it goes back to the I am part of that statement. Where in history do we first read about I am? Well, it's the Old Testament, of course. God introduced himself to Moses in the Old Testament by saying, I am. That was his literal name. He said, I am who I am.
Who are you? I am that I am. I don't understand. I am the God of your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
You were born of my mother, Yocheved. You are our brother.
That's how God introduced himself to Moses. And then in the New Testament, that's how Christ revealed himself to be God incarnate. He said, hang on, I've got the text pulled up right here. Jesus said to them, most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Then they took up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hit himself. They tried to kill him, of course, right? Because they knew that God revealed himself to Moses by saying, I am, right? So this guy, Jesus, is claiming to be God, right? So now that we know that, when René Descartes says, I think, therefore I am, I don't think he was intentional. This is literally just my subjective interpretation. As I, walked back to my office, I just started thinking of sort of the significance of that statement. And so I'm sure many, many people have made this connection, but this is just sort of my off the cuff thoughts about the significance of that statement, right? Because before René Descartes, knowledge and truth and morality was something of the mind of God. It was an objective thing outside of space and time, outside of really the grasp of the human mind. But René Descartes, being such a skeptic, he basically used first principles and sliced everything up and said, the only thing that I can know is that I'm a thinking thing. And I think, therefore I am, right? And I think he was technically a religious man. So I don't think he realized, made the connection that I'm making right now. I don't know. Who am I? I'm just someone. But looking back at it from where we are in history to where he was and how man thought before and how man has thought afterwards and the consequences of that statement, dude, it's pretty profound, in my opinion at least. Because he was making himself God, right? He was taking something that was objective and in the mind of God and repositioning it in the mind of man and making it subjective, right? And that's one of the big concepts that I've thought about the last couple of years is this idea of objectivity versus subjectivity. And from what I can tell, most people operate as if truth and morality is subjective rather than objective. And to me, I find that terrifying. But also, I can kind of look back at history and see that a lot of those ideas sort of stem from the Enlightenment. And so when you have something as profound as a single statement that you can put your finger on in history, it's pretty cool. And so yeah, I just kind of wanted to make a video about that thought, right? And I think we can go a little bit deeper. There's a book that I read this past year called Love What Lasts. It's written by, the author's name is Joshua Gibbs. And in that book, he's exploring a lot of these same concepts, but he has this analogy, how man before the Enlightenment was oriented. And in that analogy, he's making the point of how, today culture changes rapidly. Like it's disorienting how fast things change. And but it was different before the Enlightenment because everybody was oriented towards the past, whereas now everybody's oriented towards the future because of this concept of human progress and the pursuit of progress. But in the past, man was oriented in a different way. Everybody was looking at the past. They were reading the same books. They were exploring the same ideas. And what this did was it provided a bedrock of reality, right? Whereas now we've got the Cybertruck. It looks like nothing from the past, and that's by design. It's Elon's vision of what the future should look like, right? It's anybody with taste and I'm off topic. Man, we were doing good. How can we go deeper? This idea of progress wasn't a thing like it is today because everybody wasn't looking off into the void, into the future. Everybody was looking into the past and the present and living in their daily lives. But with the Enlightenment came the idea of human progress, the idea that I have the mind that you have, right? We're both humans, we're both individuals, we both have a mind. And Plato, being, the cornerstone of Western philosophy and Western civilization, he was a brilliant man, but he was still a man. He had a mind, right? And so from this new perspective, this new way of viewing history, I am at a much more advantageous place in history because I come after Plato. And many brilliant people with the same mind as Plato are in between him and I can learn from those people. I can learn from the collective knowledge of books. And now with the internet, and now we're sort of moving our subconscious into these large language models so that Sam Altman can package all of human knowledge up and sell it back to us at a metered rate.
We see a future where intelligence is a utility, like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter and use it for whatever they want to use it for. The demand that we see for that seems like it's going to continue to just go like this.
Right. Sorry. This idea of human progress, this idea that we all have a mind that's capable of being as great as the mind of Plato, is a novel concept that comes out of the Enlightenment. And it's what pushes the scientific revolution, and we get great innovation out of that. But it comes at a cost. I don't know that I have a better takeaway than the takeaway that the Enlightenment, this idea that I think, therefore I am, that the human mind can comprehend what the mind of God can comprehend, that I think it's dangerous to go from objective to subjective. I think that's dangerous. And I think that René Descartes' statement might be feeding the lie that we are like God in ways that we are not. Do we think that we're omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent? I don't know. But it was fun to dig into that piece of trivia. If you found this kind of video fun and entertaining, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you.